Right. So, colleagues, welcome to part B in our AUI 4861 orientation segment. So, as I had indicated in part A, we were going to look into the discussion over the first question of the third assignment for the 2024 academic year. So now, what you have here in this question, it's basically a typical of an essay-based type of a question to begin with. And then secondly, this is a type of a question that one can possibly find in an exam setup. All right. So in other words, when it comes to examinations, what the kind of questions that you guys are likely to come across, they will be essay-based in nature. You will not find multiple choice questions in the exams. But you would find multiple choice questions in your assignments. Two out of the four assignments will be MCQs, as I indicated earlier. So without further ado, here's what should happen when you are approaching an essay-based question. First point of departure is to evaluate the required section. That's your first point, your first step. So if you look into this particular question, let's evaluate to see what we have. So if you look at this question, you have at least five set of independent or individual questions. But of course, out of those questions, some might be a test of the assumed knowledge. What do I mean when I'm saying some might be test of the assumed knowledge? So when I'm saying a test of the assumed knowledge, I'm basically referring to that kind of a question where you don't need to read through the case study scenario to respond to it. That's what I mean when I'm saying test of the assumed knowledge. And then on the other hand, you can get questions which are more of the application of the assumed knowledge. What does that imply? It simply means you need the case study to be able, details from the case study to enable you to respond to the required section of the question, right? So let's evaluate to identify what we have in this case. So in question 1.1, let's see, discuss the concept of integrated reporting, the need for it, and essentially what it entails. Look at the mark allocation to that. 5 solid marks. Now, my question to you when you look at that question, colleagues, do you really think you need the case study scenario to answer that question? Or it's one way by the lecturer or the no, not the supervisor in this case. The lecturer is basically just testing you on the assumed knowledge in this module. What is your take on this? You're more than welcome to respond verbally. You're also welcome to respond on the chat. It's okay. Right. So definitely there's no need for you to read the case study.
Assumed knowledge.
Yeah, it's basically test of the assumed knowledge. That's what is taking place there. Okay, cool. Let's go to the next question. From SASO's integrated report, list the stakeholders of SASL. How many marks allocated to that? 5 solid marks. Now, in this case, is this the test of assumed knowledge or is it the application of the assumed knowledge that is being tested?
It should be based on the scenario.
Application.
It's application. So it should be based on the scenario. That's the application of the assumed knowledge. Do you see the difference there? So now, those are some of the things you should be able to pick up when you evaluate an essay-based question. Right? So even in the exam situation, if you apply what I'm telling you now, it's one of those that helps you to manage your time effectively. You don't get to waste time. You just basically look into what exactly that the lecturer is examining. Preferably, this is what I recommend for students. If you're writing your exam, with me, I'm more of a traditional type of a person. So I prefer to work with a printed question paper, right? In your case, obviously, guys, it's going to be written in the comfort of your home. So you can have the liberty to print if you want, or you can basically open it like in this setup on your laptop. But I feel like it's better if you print the question paper so that you make footnotes for yourself. Like for example, in this case, you know that okay, fine, this is just purely test of the assumed knowledge. Test of the assumed knowledge. Okay, cool. With the second question, what is happening? It's application of the assumed knowledge. Okay, cool. Meaning to say when I've identified that it's application now, I have to go through the scenario so that I can identify problem areas. That will be the next step after reading or evaluating your required parts. So the next step from assessing the required section is to go about to identify problem areas in the case study scenario. What are problem areas? In simple terms, these specific details in the case study that enable you to respond to what the lecturer is requesting of you in the required part, right? And then, so if you are having this thing in physical or in printed format, even if you can do it, in soft copy like this, it's also okay. But preferably for me, I would recommend you print and you write these things down for yourself. With time, as you practice, you do several questions. One of the things you're going to discover, you might not even need to write things like this. You just know when you read that, okay, this is, test of the assumed knowledge. So I don't need to really go through the scenario to answer that question. All right. So I need to obviously have knowledge of what integrated reporting is. That's number one element. Number two, to explain why it is necessary or why is it important for an organization to have that. And then what it entails now, what details should be contained within an integrated report, right? That's another part. So when I'm looking at my response, I already have a plan. So how am I going to portray my answer? You understand? So that's why I always recommend that please, when you go through questions like this, always look into the required part first and then you go into the scenario thereafter. Then in question 1.3, integrated reporting uses triple bottom line reporting, right? And the six capitals in their reporting. From SASO's integrated report, list three reported items, each with regards to people, then the other one with regards to profit, and then the other one pertinent to the planet. I just wanted to point out something very important. When you're looking at this, of course, some of these things that I'm about to explain, you'll be in a better position to identify some of these after I've taken you through all those other topics that we mentioned about earlier from the PowerPoint presentation. So obviously this particular question is pertinent or relevant to topic 3, which was on integrated reporting and ESG reporting. All right, corporate social responsibility, integrated reporting, and environmental, social, and governance reporting. So if I'm looking at the people element, that's yours, your social, right? If I'm looking at the profit, that's more economic in nature. So how the company is performing financially. So that's where annual financial statements comes into the picture. And then planet obviously it has to do with the environment, the contributions that the company has made or how the company has performed in its relation to its operating activities and the use of natural resources in the environment of operation, right? So that's what is taking place there. And then so for such a question like this, definitely you would need to have gone through the integrated report. So I did my level best to share these things a bit early throughout the day so that you could have time, ample amount of time to perhaps just be, to browse through it just to see what is happening, right? But anyways, I if you didn't do that, it's still okay. Don't worry about that, right? And then question 1.4. So in this case, colleagues, this is again application of the assumed knowledge. Assumed knowledge, all right. And then in 1.4, SASO provides integrated reports and sustainability reports. Discuss how integrated reports are different from sustainability reports. Now, if you are looking at this, what do you see? Is it purely test of the assumed knowledge? Or is it application of the assumed knowledge? Or perhaps there's a bit of an element of both.
Sounds like it's assumed knowledge.
Assumed
For
knowledge.
me, I think both. Yeah. Okay, I just tend to be corrected.
All right,
For
go ahead.
me, for me, it sounds like it's both.
Okay.
Because it says discuss how integrated reports are different from sustainability reports. It means that I still need to apply both. Okay.
Interesting. All right. Why do you say you still need to apply both?
Please continue.
All right, no problem. Okay, so but I think looking at the direction of the question, right? I think this was just so that they build up towards the exact thing that they wanted to ask you about, which is to say, discuss how integrated reports are different from sustainability reports. So that's what the lecturer wants you to respond. But then they sort of like gave a background to it to say, look, SASO provides integrated reports. Yes. And also what? Sustainability what? Reports. That's yes. So now, all they're simply trying to tell you is that there are two distinct reports. If you are to go into this integrated report, I'm going to show you anyways shortly, right? And now, so you either, if you are to say it's a bit of both, then what you are going to be doing there is to first of all go into their integrated report and look into the segment that deals, okay, the integrated report itself, it's a holistic, it incorporates everything basically. Even the sustainability report is part of the integrated report. It's just a segment to it. But then the actual integrated report, it does, of course, then differ from the actual sustainability report because all they are reporting in the sustainability report, it has to do with things like business continuity, and anything that has to do with business continuity elements of the organization. That's what you'd find in the sustainability report. What sustains the operations or the operating activities of the company? What sustains the company as a going concern? That's what you'd find in the sustainability report. Whereas with the integrated report, it gives a holistic account, of the company's performance from the economic perspective. That is where annual financial statements comes into the picture, including the audit reports. Then it also reports on the environmental, performance of the company. How has it contributed to its environment, all right? And then of course there's a social element to it as well, right? So, but then the actual thing. So if you want to take it from that angle, right? I'm trying to respond to the lady that said, look, there's a bit of both. If you are to take it from that angle, you then have to give examples. So, for example,
Okay.
you'd say an integrated report is one that gives a holistic account about the organization, da, 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 da. And then you start giving example. For example, in the SASO integrated report, they gave account
Mm,
about one, two, three, right? And then you go about then explaining, on the other hand, sustainability report. It's a type of a report that deals with one, two, three, giving account relating to the business continuity of the organization. Then you start giving examples. For example, according to the sustainability report in the SASO integrated report, this is what they reported about. So if you
mm,
do it from that perspective, because remember the question is saying discuss. They didn't say
mm,
explain. Do you
mm,
see the
mm.
difference?
Mm.
If
Yeah,
this,
I see.
yeah. So had they said explain now, like explaining now, that's just basically using your general understanding. But the moment
Mm,
they start saying discuss, I mean, then they want you to give examples, practical
mm,
examples. So it's either you're taking the information for what is already given there. So I would,
mm, mm,
yeah. So if I would say, look, you take it as from both angles in this essence. Okay, right. Um, so to answer the question, is it assumed knowledge or application of the assumed knowledge? To be quite frank, it's a bit of both. Okay. Now, but then what about if you just explain what an integrated report is, and then you also then on the other side explain without giving examples? Now, that's where this mark allocation issue comes in. If I just give the description, is it sufficient enough to be allocated 2 marks? Or they'll probably just give you 1 mark. Likelihood is that they'll give you 1 mark for just explaining or defining the term integrated report. Then, but for giving examples, then you can get the other marks. So yes, you need to, it's a bit of both actually in question 1.4. Then in 1.5, for the above mentioned rows, excuse me, A to G, classify each row as one of the following, either as a core internal audit row, excuse me, or either as a legitimate internal audit row with safeguards, or either as a role the internal audit should not undertake. So with regards to this one, it's obvious, guys, it's application because they're saying for the above mentioned roles. So where are those above mentioned roles? Well, you'll find them in the given or provided scenario, isn't it? So so that's what you're supposed to do, guys, when you evaluate an essay-based question. So you first of all assess what you're given in the required part, then classify it accordingly as to whether it's application of the assumed knowledge or it's purely what is it? Test of the assumed knowledge, right? After you are done with that, then you can go about going into the scenario now to see what is being given to you. So let's do that practically now. So now going back to the first question, discuss the concept of integrated report. All right. This information or the answer to this, you find it in the internal audit perspective textbook. Now, there's something I opened that I wanted to show you, but this diagram that you're seeing, let me see, on page 111, it's pertinent to this question here, the last question that they wanted you to respond to, question 1.5, where they say for the above mentioned rows, A to G, classify each role as one of the following, whether as a core internal audit role, legitimate internal audit role with safeguards, or as roles internal audit should not undertake. So if you look into this diagram, and I'm gonna, okay, well, that's another exam technique I want to give you. In a context of an exam situation, right? Just because there is 5 set of questions like this, it doesn't necessarily imply that you have to necessarily start with 1.1. You can start with 1.5, for example, if that's the question that you're more comfortable to answer first, or quicker, if I would say. It's another important exam technique that I'm giving you now. Why? Because you see, the issue is 90% of the time, what affects students' performance, or let me just say, what makes students sometimes to fail or not to get the mark that they want in this module, it's usually time management, not because students really don't know. Sometimes you can really be knowing your thing very well, but then just because you have poorly managed your time, you end up not finishing the exam. Because trust me, in the exam situation, the question paper will be quite lengthy, that's for sure. At this level, it will be lengthy. So you need to really have proper time management. So you can start with any question of your comfort other than having to start with 1.1, for example. All right. So anyways, in any case, if you look into this diagram, colleagues, on page 111 in the internal audit perspective textbook, the blue textbook, which is one of your prescribed textbooks for this module, figure 4.9, it deals with the role of the internal auditor and risk management. So there's what they call core internal audit roles in regards to ERM, right? And then there's what they call legitimate internal audit roles with safeguards. And then there's roles the internal audit should not undertake. All right. So in simple, okay, let me just also try to explain this briefly, what it is and how does it differ from each other. So the core internal audit roles, colleagues, that you see here, these are assurance service responsibilities of the internal audit when it comes to enterprise risk management, right? And then the legitimate internal audit roles with safeguards. These are consulting responsibilities of the internal auditor, right? When it comes to enterprise risk management. And then roles that the internal audit should not undertake. These are what we call management responsibilities. So a management responsibility from an audit perspective, we should always refrain, or we should never assume management responsibilities. Okay. So hence they are saying roles internal audit should not undertake. So meaning to say you're not allowed as an internal auditor to carry such responsibilities like this. So what you are just supposed to do in such a question like this, so you have this in front of you. Since it's an assignment, so you have this in front of you. What you're just supposed to do is to then go through what you're given in the scenario, right? Which are the roles, right? With examples to the audit committee and all. But I think just to make it more systematic, can I just perhaps take it from the top and then we'll come about answering the questions. So for this assessment, you need to review the SASO's integrated report for the 2023 financial period. So they provided a link there where one could actually just click and gain access to the integrated report for SASO. However, what I'd also done for you, I'd already downloaded a copy of the integrated report for SASO. I know it's a lengthy document, and to navigate through this document in detail in this limited time that we have, it might not be as realistic. But ideally, I just wanted to make sure that you can see the actual integrated report and what it contains. So, colleagues, in simple terms, an integrated report, it's one that contains a holistic account about what the organization has done economically, what the organization has done with regards to its engagement with the environment and the contribution that it has made to society at large. That's what you'll find in the integrated report. So even when you go through, for instance, their table of contents, you'd notice they talk about a number of things. The strategy they talk about, of course, in essence, who SASO is, what approach they've used to the report that they've created. That's what you are finding, and the about SASO section. All right. And then they also give you details regarding to their strategic overview, how they've created value. But the key part is the performance part. All right. So what you'd find with the performance, they are giving account, of course, with regards to the different segments that they have as an entity. But that's not important to us for the purpose of what we are dealing with here. But I'm just trying to help one to understand what you are finding in this particular report, right? Then coming back to our question, you are the chief audit executive of SASO, Chief Audit Executive of SASO. Now, at the executive committee, right, EXCO committee meeting, the chairperson of the audit committee is still uncertain about the concept of what? Integrated reporting. Now, the need for it and the type of assurance internal audit can provide in terms of integrated reporting. Now, you provide the following roles as examples to the audit committee. Now, I just wanted to point out this part or other aspect now. I just provided this just as an easy way to navigate to responding to question 1.5. But when you go to your study guide, when you go to your study guide in topic 3, I just wanted to show you this, guys. I think it's important. Right. So in topic 3, that's where the concept about integrated reporting is dealt with. There is a link that is provided there that you would need to access online. Let me see if, okay. It's just that because of time. But anyways, let me show you in the actual study guide so you can see this. I think it's important that we do that because okay, I just want to look for it. There it is. Here it is. It's on page, I'll tell you what page it is, page 76, where they talk about the International Integrated Reporting Framework Guidance. So when you click that link, all right, and also, actually, you need to read two things, but, I wanted to just make life easy for you. So if you go through that link, it even disseminates, there's even an article, apart from the framework itself, there's an article, I'm just trying to look for it here, there's somewhere where they've provided, yes, here, you see this particular article, this one right here, on page, I'll tell you what page number, on page 77. You need to read through that. Let me just highlight it. My apologies, guys. I know there's just so much that I'm trying to dispatch, but we have just limited time. This particular article, where they're talking about the role of the internal audit function in integrated reporting, that's the one that would give you like the exact details in regards to the role that the internal audit can perform, the legitimate roles. So they'll give you the legitimate roles. They'll also give you the roles that the internal audit should not undertake and so forth. Right. You'd find that in this article. When you click this link, here's what would happen. It will require your student details to log in, like the way you log into my UNISA. Because remember, this is an academic article, so they are encrypted. So for you to be able to access it, you need to log in with your my UNISA logins. Okay, yeah. So I just thought let me give you guys all the relevant references in regards to that. So page 77 of your study guide, it's let me just say that's another source with respect to responding to question 1.5, right? Now let's come back to the question. All right, there we are. Okay. Now, you provide the following roles as examples to the audit committee. So what are the roles? Giving assurance on the integrated reporting processes, right? Championing the establishment of internal, integrated reporting, challenging the organization's reporting strategy, reporting material levels, accountability for for integrated reporting, monitoring progress against the targets set by those in charge of governance, facilitating the design of a systematic approach to integrated reporting. So I'd already answered, these questions. Um, you know, just for the interest of time. So the first one, where it says giving assurance on the integrated reporting processes. If I'm to use this diagram here, that's part of your core, the core internal audit roles. All right. So hence you notice there I indicated it as C. So C is just standing for core internal audit roles. Where it says L, those are legitimate roles. And where it says R, that's basically to indicate that's a role that the internal audit function should not undertake, right? So yeah, so I've already done that. So with the first one, A, it's a core internal audit role. Championing the establishment of integrated reporting, that's a legitimate role. Same applies to C as well as G. If you look at D, setting materiality levels, now that is a role that belongs to management and the board. So it's not something that the internal audit function performs. And then accountability for the for the integrated reporting, that is not a responsibility that lies with the internal audit function, but that lies with the board, all right, the board of directors. So that's a role that the internal audit function should not undertake, right? Are we still together, colleagues?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, yes, yes. Together.
Okay, awesome. Now, let me try to answer some of these few questions with the limited time we have. Question 1.1, discuss the concept of integrated reporting, the need for it, and essentially what it entails. All right. So, in short, colleagues, integrated reporting can be described as a holistic account of the company or an organization's overall performance over a set period of time, usually an annual time frame. So when an organization is reporting from an integrated reporting perspective, this is an annual report that they are generating. Okay. And then the performance herein relates to the triple context. So what do I mean by that? The triple context in the sense of the economic performance of the company or the organization, environmental performance, and social performance. Right. And then, of course, you have to explain what economic performance is, what environmental performance is, and what social performance is. So, in short, economic performance, that's obviously financial performance. Okay. annual financial statements gives you that information. Environmental performance, it relates to the manner or approach, or let me say account of how the entity utilized its natural resources, man-made resources in pursuing its corporate mission. That's environmental performance. Social performance reflects on account about the corporate social responsibility initiatives of the company or the organization in order to portray its contributions to society at large as a responsible corporate citizen. And lastly, because I wanted to answer about the issue about the need for it and essentially what it entails. So what it entails, that's what I'm explaining now. But why is it necessary for for organizations to generate an integrated report? So it is essential as it allows or it takes into account stakeholders' interests. So if the organization is reporting from an economic perspective, that helps even the shareholders to know whether the company is performing profitably or it's not performing profitably. Why? Because remember, they are putting in their money into that company. So they need to know whether there is going to be a return on investment. And then if I'm looking from the environmental perspective, the government regulators are interested as to whether the company is compliant with environmental laws. You see? From a social perspective, people, be it consumers, suppliers, and the mass community, I mean society, they are interested to know whether the company is a responsible corporate citizen. Are they contributing to the welfare of people within the locality where they are carrying out their, operations or not? People are interested to know about that. See, so that's where the social element comes in. All right. Sorry, don't worry, guys. I'm going to give you the answers, solutions to these questions. So you might not be seeing what I'm reading per se, but I'm going to share the document after we are done. Then 1.2 from SASO's integrated report lists the stakeholders of SASO. So if you are to look into um, if you are to look into without even necessarily looking at it, just using your mind, or in fact, we don't even have to apply our minds. It's just right in front of us. Do you see the stakeholders there? So there's employees and organized labor, shareholders and providers of capital. This is one group of stakeholders. That's another group of stakeholders: customers, governments and regulators, communities and societies, etc. and etc. So do you see that was just a giveaway right there? So page 2 of SASO's integrated report, that was the point of reference. And then in 1.3, integrated reporting used triple bottom line reporting. That's basically the same thing as the triple context that I pointed out earlier. So now integrated reporting used triple bottom line reporting and the 6 capitals in their reporting. Now from SASO's integrated report, list 3 reported items, each for people, profit, and planet. That's where this you see this framework that I was talking about. I think it should be here. This is also where it plays a bit of a factor, but in short, let me take you to the report. All right. So when you go to the integrated report, right? Uh, when it comes to people, but obviously this information you would have to go through the actual integrated report to see it. So with the aspect about people, I think it's on page two of the integrated report, as well as page 9 of the integrated report. This is where page 9 to be exact of this integrated report. That's where they talk about these things. So let me just maybe try to show that to you guys. So you navigate, these are the page numbers. So on page 9 of this report, that's where they talk about this. So let me just try to move as quick as possible. Okay, so it starts here. So that's people, that's planet, that's profit. So remember, what is the question saying? The question is saying, from SASO's integrated report, list 3 reported items, each for what? For people, planet, and Sorry, people, profit, and planet. So obviously, if you look under people, they reported about pursue zero harm and improve our culture. That's one of the reported items. For planet, advance sustainability. For profit, deliver and maximize value. And then the list goes on and on in the other coming pages. Right. And then 1.4, SASO provides integrated reports and sustainability. By the way, in the solution that I'm going to give you, you're going to see all of these things in detail. Pages, I wanted to give a page reference. Page 13. Page 13 in the integrated report. I just wanted to show you some few things. Okay, this is planet. So with the planet, they talked about climate change. Here it is. Transitioning to a circular economy, that's one of the reported items. Protecting biodiversity, water availability. So those are the reported items regarding to planet. Some of them obviously, but they just wanted three to be exact. So, but do you guys see the connection of what is happening here?